Veterans report tomorrow, but what's the offseason without a little trade rumor? I usually don't cover these a ton, but I think this one brings up an interesting discussion heading into training camp. And an idea was floated today linking the 49ers to a two-time first-team All-Pro, solving a definite problem that I at least wonder if we have the personnel to solve this training camp. That's all going to be in this video. We're talking about one of the biggest problems we face this season, a potential solution to that problem, and if all of that is hogwash, what we're left with and how we can solve it with what we have right now. If you're new here, I'm Nate. We are talking the San Francisco 49ers every single day on this channel, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on all of the action. The news is this: the San Francisco 49ers were linked with a legit starting right tackle, two-time first-team All-Pro, Jack Conklin from the Cleveland Browns. Before we break that down and talk about what we're left with, first, comment below, what do you think? I'm just telling you what I think, but let me know what you think. What do you think the weakest single starting position, as veterans are reporting tomorrow, what is the weakest single starting position on the 49ers roster right now? For me, it has to be RT. It's got to be right tackle. Statistically, it's the lowest graded position. Realistically, it seems like the biggest need, unless Colton McKivitz can take a significant step this year, which I want to give credit before I'm about to talk about some negative things in relation to Colton McKivitz. I want to give some credit to say that consistency is key in offensive lines. And if you got all of the guys coming back again, that definitely helps. Like, I do not expect them to be the 24th ranked offensive line again at the end of this season. I think that they'll, just by being together, that cohesiveness will improve the offensive line. But that being said, we also have risks. We've got a left tackle who's 36 years old, who could go down for, 5-6 games this season. Easy, no problem. So we definitely don't want to rest on our laurels. Our offensive line should at least get some credit for solid run game. I know it's hard when your runner is so incredible. You can't, but you can't also throw the baby out with the bathwater. They have done a good job in supporting the run game. That's not the fear. I don't feel like Colton McKivitz is a complete revolving door, but I also don't think he's locked down either. So we have to kind of accept the reality that we would have liked the 49ers to go into the draft. We all expected the 49ers to go into the draft and come out of one of the first two rounds with a solid offensive tackle option. Best available kind of deal. And that's not what the 49ers did. So that's something we have to reconcile, okay? All of that being said, we've got a quarterback out there who's making quick decisions, who admittedly says it himself. I was just listening to a podcast recently, and it was super interesting talking with Steve Young about, his take on Brock Purdy, and just saying, Brock Purdy says it himself, he can't throw the ball. He can't sling the ball 70 yards. And so he has to get the ball away in a certain amount of time because he can't do it. Well, it doesn't help that in that very short amount of time, our offensive line can't keep the pressure off of him. So, a little bit more love from the offensive line would definitely help. All right. Despite drafting Dominic Pooney to help build this line up, the 49ers still contain the number 24 ranked offensive line ahead of the season. That's bottom 25 percentile heading into the season, even with that draft. I guess Jarrett Kingston you could throw in there too. You could throw those UDFAs. I mean, PFF takes all of that into account going into the new season. Granted, of course, there's only so much you can do with rookies who've never played a snap in the NFL. But we know that the 49ers did something to bolster their offensive line, but did not do the wholesale thing, did not do the big thing. So knowing that that's the case, I was driving across the country and back from Michigan, visiting family, listening to every 49ers podcast I could find. And there was a good one from Locked On. Brian Peacock said this: I think we know at this point in his career, talking about Colton McKivitz, 4 or 5 years in the league, he's had more than a full season of starts. I think we know who Colton McKivitz is. I'd be trying hard to find someone who could compete with him. That's all we're asking. Just competition, just healthy competition. The Niners, I don't think, did, meaning they did not draft a solid competitive individual in terms of the starting right tackle position. So I think they expect him to be the starter, and that's it. And admitted himself that the 49ers are more optimistic and more positive about Colton McKivitz than probably anybody else in the league. Faithful included, just more positive on Colton McKivitz. And okay, we'll take that for now. In terms of what we have available, though, however, I do want to kind of put some guys up on the screen. But we got to talk about, I completely forgot, we have to talk about who another individual might be. So here are the guys right here, we'll break down in a few minutes, that could be putting pressure on Colt McKivitz. But the rumor today, and I'm so sorry, it's 5 minutes in and I realize I have not actually fully broken down the rumor, is this. 49ers are loaded on both sides of the ball, regardless of Ayuk here or not, have the cap space needed to make another addition if see fit. Bleacher Report's Christopher Knox put together a list of 10 players who possibly could be on the move through trades this summer and called the 49ers a possible landing spot for Cleveland Browns all-pro offensive tackle Jack Conklin. I did tell you that at least. But here's what he said. Browns right tackle Jack Conklin suffered a season-ending knee injury in week 1 of last season, but rookie DeJuan Jones played extremely well in his stead until he too was lost for the season with a knee injury. The Browns won't be eager to part with Conklin, who is under contract through 2026. However, Jones's presence could force the Browns to at least listen to offers for the two-time first-team All-Pro. Conklin will only turn 30 in August, and if fully recovered, should command a high day 3 draft pick from a tackle-needy team. With right tackle Colt McKivitz serving as a weak link in their offensive line, the 49ers could also have interest in Conklin if he becomes available. McKivitz received a 2-year, $4.6 million extension this offseason, but was also responsible for 9 sacks allowed in 2023, according to PFF. So all that saying, here's the link up with that man right there. That's the link. Seems like it would be an awesome move for sure. Personally, do I think it's realistic? I don't know. Probably not. I mean, rumors are rumors, whatever. And links are links, right? They're like hardly rumors. They count as rumors kind of. So moving forward with what we do currently have on the 90-man roster, these are all of the offensive linemen on the 90-man right now. Okay, so already talked a little bit. And by the way, in the red box there, that's kind of the projected starting 5 again this season. So just to give you that as context, there's some question around Feliciano potentially being a center. Just that came out of OTAs. If you remember that, was it the Brendel injury? I think it was the Jake Brendel injury, and then Feliciano was not 100%. So then, it was like Ben Barch might be center. So there's a question around center. I'm not going to really go heavy on that one, right? Because this is all about what do we do about that right tackle position, okay? Right tackle position. Now, Dominic Pooney is a question for tackle. Probably not. People don't love his arm length. People also don't, they just don't see him as a tackle. But he did play tackle. He was a left tackle in college, and so yeah, it's possible he could be a tackle. The interesting thing is the best scouting reports, the most optimistic scouting reports say this guy can play all 4. He can play all 4 positions. So it'll be really, really interesting to watch. He'll be probably the player to watch on the offensive line in terms of who's going to be, where is he going to be? How is he going to set up? Are they pushing him in there with Aaron Banks and putting pressure on Aaron Banks? And that's where the competition is. Is he going to be sitting on right guard behind Jelon? I've heard people say behind Feliciano multiple times and kind of pushing for that starting role. So I don't really know. It's going to be very interesting to see where he actually lines up. And, of course, technically could potentially play tackle. So that'll be interesting. The only one I think he can't play would be Firster was saying, he doesn't like what he sees in terms of from a center position. He doesn't like him as a center, which was kind of a weird thing for him to say, but he's got his very specific feelings about the role center, which he also played as well. So moving on, though, technically, you've got Spencer Burford as this really interesting take in terms of could he be tackled, played tackle in college. part of my like drive across the country, one of the things that Eric Crocker said, same podcast from Lockdown 49ers, was really interesting. Crocker said this: Spencer Burford has had so many opportunities, and we've kind of thrown away McKivitz and wanted him to get out of there and really just replace him. Spencer Burford has been very interesting, though. I would love to see him at tackle. Like, can I please just see what it looks like? Everyone else has an opportunity to go from guard to tackle to guard, and all this, but Burford, a guy who was a starting left tackle, and I understand early on he played some guard, but shows that he had the athleticism. We talked about McKivitz, who wasn't very good athletically. Burford was good athletically. So is there a scenario where maybe he's just not suited to be in the trenches and needs to be a little more on the edge and kind of use some of that athleticism out there? I just want to see what it looks like. And for the record, Peacock agreed. Would love to see what it looks like. Kind of goes into some off-subject comments or whatever at that point. So there's one for sure. I think the obvious pressure on Colton McKivitz, the obvious, pushing for his role. Chris Hubbard, if he could be healthy, would be a good one. That would be great. He's had a lot of injuries, hasn't played a full season in like 5 years, 33 years old. But when he's healthy, everyone thinks he's better than Colton McKivitz. Parker, what's Brandon Parker's deal? He had a lot of injuries. He had a chunk of starts at right tackle, which is why I thought he could be a replacement. Hasn't really put together the type of run that you want to see, but he could definitely put some pressure during training camp, just be an extra body out there putting pressure on him. He's got Jared Kingston, who's a guard, of course, picked up 6th round. Bryson Mays is the tackle, UDFA, West Virginia, so that's an interesting one. Jalen Moore couldn't beat out Colton before, so we'll see. We picked up Nugent. Yeah, as I'm looking through here, I'm just thinking we're getting down to the bottom of the list. We got a couple guys on here just like, I just designated them practice squad guys. Like they're just practice squad guys. At best, they're practice squad guys. So we'll see about there. Let me know what you guys think, though. I just realized now I've been going for 12 and a half minutes and talking about offensive linemen, which is, I wouldn't say it's my strong suit. We'll see. But let me know what you guys think about the situation with Colton McKivitz and the right tackle position. Does it need to change? Is it a drastic problem that we must find a solution for right away? Are there any guys on this roster right now who can improve that situation and be healthy? That's a question too. Let me know what you guys think. I mean, should they be giving Dominic Pooney looks at right tackle? Just giving him looks and just see what happens. Should Spencer Burford be moved out of that interior position and put out there at right tackle and say, fight for that guy's job. Fight for his job. Peacock was like, I would love to see Spencer Burford just knock on the door. Say, Firster, let me fight for that position. That would be awesome. So let me know what you guys think. I think this is fascinating. It's going to be one of the more interesting position battles to watch in training camp and really just where does Pooney line up? That's going to be a really interesting one. And then what are the long-term goals and kind of just guessing about that. But look, tomorrow, it's happening. It's finally here. One more day. Veterans are here. By the time you're watching this video, it might already be today. So how exciting. What a time to be alive.